Time now to take our attention and look at what's taking up paper space on the international papers. Diptyque Laurent is back with us in studio. We're going to start, I guess, with Austria. And, you know, we used to think that Emmanuel Macron was a very young head of state, but the world could have a new younger one.
It's getting younger and younger.
Older and older.
It's been a year of political shake-ups, hasn't it? And now Austria is set to have its youngest leader ever, the world's youngest leader ever. His name is Sebastian Kurz. He's a leader of the Conservative Party. He's a Eurosceptic. He'll most probably form a coalition with the far right, who've garnered enough votes to have a say in parliament. Here he is in this cartoon from Chapat. He's the new wonder kid, if you like. Those two speech bubbles there representing the Conservative and far right parties. He won really through a mixture of things. He led a pretty slick campaign. He had modern campaign tactics and also appealed to many people with his tough anti-immigration stance. Chancellor at 31, that's what the Austrian paper Die Presse is asking on its front page. It seems all but confirmed. Die Presse does have some choice advice for the young leader. Choose the right people to form your government and avoid the corruption that plagued the last conservative far-right coalition back in 2000, known as the Blue and Black Coalition. Now, on another Austrian paper, Salzburger Nachrichten, they say, here comes Kurz. And in its front page analysis piece, the journalist says, really, the winner was no surprise. It had been predicted in part by pollsters, but a daunting task awaits Kurz. I quote, in a triumph like this, the germ of the next defeat lies.
And indeed, of course, he could still choose to go back into coalition with the Socialist Democrat Party, the outgoing coalition. He has said he's not going to mention his decision until all those postal votes are counted later on this Monday. But Diptyque, let's move on for now to Libération, a French paper that's giving, once again, coverage to the plight of the Rohingya refugees.
Well, one of their journalists has gone there and is reporting from Bangladesh. The horrors of this crisis just keep unfolding, Eve, from the reporters who were sent to the borders with Burma and Bangladesh. And it's really one of those stories that we really can't talk about enough because it is horrific. Libé's reporter recounts a tragic ordeal of a man called Syed Karim. His wife died in childbirth, as well as his unborn baby who died. He's a man who, I quote, says he's 30 but looks around 50. His village was burnt down back in August with inhabitants shot at and, I quote, the prettiest women taken in by soldiers. Karim, like many other Rohingyas, fled into Bangladesh by crossing the river Naf in what was a pretty perilous journey, one that is being exploited by human smugglers. So violence clearly targeting the Muslim minority, one that the UN has called ethnic cleansing.
Indeed, another 5 people reported to have died in that river in the last 24 hours, 4 of them children. A really horrific story. But let's move on again. And the worldwide backlash against Harvey Weinstein amid the sexual assault and rape allegations continues.
Well, we know he was dumped from his own company. He's been dumped from the Academy of Motion Pictures, and France is now thinking about or expected to strip him of his Legion of Honor medal. He's really the disgraced Academy Award member, as you see in this cartoon from The Guardian. Here, his trophies, his accolades, his career, all really melting away, as we can see. What was once a golden career is just a melting pot now. This is a pretty big deal, considering that even Roman Polanski, who's been convicted of rape, was not taken off the Academy Board of Members. And this really begs the question, why has the Weinstein punishment been so swift, so unequivocal from Hollywood, even if it was delayed in the beginning? Well, according to the USA Today, a columnist there says Hollywood is hoping that if they're hard enough on Weinstein, I quote, the story will go away and the public won't realize that he was part of an ecosystem of exploitation. It's a really interesting take on this. For this writer, Weinstein can't wash away Hollywood's sins, and as more and more allegations surface against him and others, Hollywood is really finding itself having to defend this culture that has been perpetrated for many years. For Hollywood, people reading instead of going to the movies is a reality that's scarier to them than the Weinstein allegations itself, and this is why they've been so swift in trying to punish Weinstein, allegedly.
That is quite a depressing take on the whole thing, Diptyque. Meanwhile, of course, these allegations not, only in Hollywood. We've seen a across the world and across the different workspaces. Women, however, have been stepping up since this came to light, stepping up their condemnation of sexual harassment, notably going viral on social media.
That's right. There were two campaigns. You had Me Too, stateside, where women were using this hashtag to talk about their harrowing cases of sexual assault. And Le Parisien actually reports that Asia Argento, who was one of the actresses who alleged that Weinstein raped her, has been tweeting under a French hashtag called Balance ton porc. It's a French hashtag that means squeal on your pig, encouraging women to share their experiences of workplace harassment, garnering over 50,000 tweets since the hashtag was launched on Friday.
Okay. Yeah, I have to say I didn't know how to translate that when I saw it first, but quite a good initiative. Let's end with some linguistics, and that's fitting given that I couldn't understand that. The Australian Concise Oxford Dictionary has added new words showing the constant evolution of our language.
That's right. Some of these words you might be familiar with, like humble brag, where you appear to be humble but you're really bragging. More than 2,000 words were added to the Australian lexicon. Other words include first world problem, hacktivist, selfie stick, fat shaming, as well as some true Aussie ones like XC, which is Australians short speak for expensive, or whatevs, which is short speak for whatever. Pretty self-explanatory. Most baffling, though, is this word, kangatarian. Now, remember, we're in Australia.
Kangaroos.
Well, a kangatarian is someone who's a vegetarian but eats kangaroo meat, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of not eating meat, right?
I would have thought so. Interesting stuff. I have to say, I with the different languages, we find ourselves making up quite a lot of new words here in France 24 as well. Diptyque Laurent, thanks for that wrap-up of the international papers.